السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and that Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is his last and prophet sent to humanity as the last messenger to the entire humanity. My dear respected brothers, say we believe in God and in what has been revealed to us and in what has been revealed to Abraham, Ismail, Isaac, Jacob and the tribes, and the books that was given to Moses, Jesus, Muhammad and all the prophets from the Lord. We make no distinction between one and another among them. To Allah we bow in peace. All praise is due to Allah, the cherisher and sustainer of all the worlds, the most gracious, the most merciful, master of a day of judgment, Allah alone we worship, and Allah alone we ask for help. We ask Allah to guide us towards the straight path, the path of those whom Allah has rewarded, not the path of those whom earned the anger of Allah, and not of those who have gone astray. Ameen. My dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, it is a pleasure and an honor for me to be back here one more time. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you for inviting me over one more time. As you all probably know, last time I was here, about 3 weeks ago, we talked about some of the scientific miracles and the scientific evidences of the Holy Quran that was discovered, which corresponded with what the Holy Quran had to say. Today I'm going to talk to you on the first part of the khutbah about some of the mathematical miracles of the Holy Quran that science is actually dazed about and is unable to answer at this time. As you all probably know, the scientists, mathematicians, arithmetics, physicists, all alike, they all consider mathematics to be universal language. Hence, he or she who speaks who knows mathematics knows universal language. On the other hand, mathematicians, arithmetics, and scientists throughout the history have been impressed and have been overwhelmed by the discoveries that Muslims made in the field of algebra, algorithm, geography, mathematics. One of the most important factors is that these findings that were made by the Muslims, which is algebra, algorithm, geometry, and so forth and so on, these are the discoveries that Muslims made and which actually has changed our world to be what it is today. In fact, all the devices that you all have in your pockets, the Androids, all these phones, this mobile phone, PCs, everything that you carry today, remember one thing. Hundreds of years ago, it was the Muslims who actually discovered the algorithms that are embedded in your phone, the engineering that's gone into it, the blueprint that all gone into it. What you see is what has resurfaced. The application that you're able to see that has surfaced today has to do with what the Muslims did in the past by the grace of Almighty Allah. But are we giving any credit for that? Not that much. We're not giving much credit for those things. Now, as you probably know, mathematics actually ignited the European Renaissance in the 1400s, thanks to the Muslim discoveries. Okay? It ignited the European Renaissance in the 1400s that lasted up to 1600 for about 200 years. And literature and art and information of that period is still very admirable today to many people. So as you can see, mathematics has played a very important role in Islam. On the other hand, mathematicians and arithmetics, including scientists, are all breathless about some of the scientific and mathematical discoveries of the Holy Quran. For example, science, as we know, what composes of a human being is 46 chromosomes that combines a human being. 23 from the mother, 23 from the father. These 23 chromosomes from the dad, 23 chromosomes from the mother becomes 46 chromosomes. It will actually include a human being. Now look at this. The Holy Quran, throughout the entire Quran, the name of man has been mentioned 23 times. The name of woman has also been mentioned 23 times. Isn't that amazing? 23 and 23 makes up 46 chromosomes. How could have an illiterate man who was in Arabia in those days would have known such information? That is a clear indication, a clear sign that this holy book is a divine book given to us by Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, Just to make it even more juicier, so you know, the planet Earth is also tilted 23 degrees. Isn't that amazing? Probably some of you may have known or some of you may not know, but you can Google it probably after the Jummah and find out for yourself. So it's interesting to know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned all these beautiful numbers in the Holy Quran that we are just beginning to understand it. And science has no explanation for it. They cannot really explain how is it possible that out of 6,236 verses in the Holy Quran, which also includes 114 chapters, how could have the Prophet known such information? So it's really amazing that what we have, you shouldn't really take it for granted. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Holy Quran, سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها مما تنبت الأرض ومن أنفسهم ومما لا يعلمون. صدق الله العظيم. All praises due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All praises due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Glory be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who created all things in pairs, and of what the earth grows, and of themselves, and of the things that they do not know. What a beautiful verse that is talking about the entire creation. Whatever is in the heaven that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created in Zawj. On the other hand, so you know, as I mentioned to you, a lot of this information was not available in the older days, so people didn't know these things. It is just recently that this information has been surfaced. So this is a clear indication that the Holy Quran is actually supersedes and is way ahead of its time, and supersedes any imagination or the figment of imagination of any scientists. So it takes a lot of education, a lot of studying to do to really seek that out. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions the Holy Quran, وَهَذَا ذِكْرٌ مُبَارَكٌ أَنزَلْنَاهُ أَفَأَنْتُمْ لَهُ مُنْكِرُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that we have sent down this blessed revelation. Will you deny it? Another beautiful mathematical discoveries in the Holy Quran. If you look at Surah Al-Baqarah, it has 286 verses, which is chapter 2. If you divide chapter 2 into 286 divided by 2, you get 143. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you read verse 143 in the middle of the Al-Baqarah, what does it say? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells the Prophet, O Prophet, we have made you into a middle nation. Thus we have made you into a middle nation, that you may be witnesses for mankind, and you, O Prophet, will be witness against your own people. So as you can see, this beautiful verse is talking about telling the Prophet that you are a middle nation. So the great thing about us is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala telling us that we are here for a reason. We're not too far to the right, and we're not too far to the left. We're actually middle nation. So that means we should be moderate people. People of understanding. People who have a lot of sabr, who have a lot of patience, a lot of understanding. They don't crack and get angry really quickly. As strong is he or she who can control their anger. As strong is not he or she who can actually beat somebody up. Just to give you a quick, brief story about being a moderate person. Not to boast about it, but many years ago I used to run a collision center in Carson, California. While I was the manager of that facility, I had 20 people working for me. Every day, my employees used to see me. I go to my office and they watch me doing my prayer. And I used to have a lot of meetings with them and give them a lot of da'wah, if you will. So they started to actually see me. And I remember one day, one of my employees, his name was Carlos, one of my mechanics. He came to the office and said, I want to talk to you. I said, go ahead. He says, you know what? To be honest with you, before I met you, I never knew who Muslims were. All I thought Muslims were what Hannity in Fox News is telling the people. I thought that's who you people are. All I heard is what's on Fox News. But when I met you, it really changed my mind, because I noticed what kind of a person you are. and you're praying every day, you're fair with the employees, you're a very nice person. And he said, I have never seen a businessman like you. So he says, I really admire who you are. I said, don't see what I'm doing, you have to look at my deen. It's my faith and my religion made me to be what I am. So he was very impressed with what he had seen. So I gave him a copy of the Quran in Spanish. A couple of weeks later, he came to me and he said he's ready to give Shahada. So Alhamdulillah, by the grace of Almighty Allah, we went to the masjid in Torrance. It was Mu'min Lodge. Dr. Hashimi was there. This is years ago. And he came there after the Jummah. The brother actually gave the Shahada. And he was crying like a baby. And people were hugging him, kissing him, and welcoming him to come into the Islam. And he came to me, he says, I'm the happiest man in the world. He says, I'm so happy that I run into you, so I know what true Islam is. Because all I've been hearing is nothing but misinformation about Islam and the Muslims. So, making a long story short, by the grace of Allah, he continued to become a good Muslim, and he actually started learning about Islam and trying to go to the Spanish community and actually bring them to Islam by the grace of Allah. Going back to the subject of the mathematical discoveries of the Holy Quran, as I was mentioning to you, the word world or dunya has been mentioned in the Holy Quran 115 times. The word akhirah, the hereafter, has been also mentioned 115 times. Isn't that amazing? The word angel has been mentioned 88 times. And the word the devils or demons have also been mentioned 88 times. The word say has been mentioned 332 times in the Holy Quran. And the word said has also been mentioned 332 times. Isn't that amazing? All this information, kind of like a balance of an equilibrium Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created for us. And all this information is just recently being surfaced. The other one is the word knowledge. Look at the emphasis of knowledge in the Holy Quran. The word knowledge has been mentioned 856 times. See the importance of gaining ilm al-din. It's extremely important that you seek as much knowledge as possible, because knowledge is a tool that you can use by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in order to defend your faith or to even reveal your faith to other people. Also, number 19 has a significance in the Holy Quran. I can't talk too much deep about it. It's a very, very deep subject. The whole book has been written about it. But I can only pretty much explain to you the Holy Quran, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as you know, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim has 19 letters, with the last word mim and a bowing position. Even letters are bowing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you will. So, the Quran also explains that we have made number 19 as a sign for the people of the book to recognize that this is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you look at chapter 19 in the Holy Quran, is Surah Maryam, which actually relates to the people of the book. So these information that is actually being found these days are extremely fascinating. And if I were you, I would probably look a little bit more into it and do more research. I'm only allowed to pretty much talk to you only about a few of these items so you can kind of grasp it and get an idea of what I'm talking about. Because the Holy Quran is full of these mathematical discoveries that science at this time is not able to explain. The Holy Quran, Surah Al-Baqarah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين الذين يؤمنون بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون والذين يؤمنون بما أنزل إليك وما أنزل من قبلك وبالآخرة هم يوقنون أولئك على هدى من ربهم وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. Sadaqallahu al-Azim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned this beautiful surah Alif Lam Mim. This is the book. In it, it's guidance without doubt to those who believe in Allah and who are mindful of Allah. Those who believe in the revelation sent to thee and in the revelation sent before thy time, and in their hearts they have the assurance of the hereafter. These are the ones who will prosper. These are the ones that are on true guidance from their Lord. As to those who reject faith, whether thou warn them or do not warn them, they will not believe. Allah has set a seal on their hearts and on their hearing, and on their eyes is a curtain of a veil, so they cannot see the truth. For them will be a grievous punishment because of what they believe. And among men are those who say, we believe in God and the last day, but they truly do not believe. Fain would they deceive God and the believers. They deceive themselves, but they realize it not. When it is said unto them, make not mischief on earth, they say, why? We only want to make peace. Of a surety, they are the ones who make mischief, but they realize it not. In their hearts is a disease, and Allah has increased their disease, and great penalty is what they incur because they're false to themselves. So my dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned in this beautiful verse that I just mentioned, that humanity in this particular case is divided into three groups of people. Those who are the believers, those who are the unbelievers, and those who are the hypocrites. So let us all pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we want to be among the believing people and the believing folks by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. My dear respected brothers and sisters, the word ummah, when I ask people, what does the word ummah mean? What is most of the people saying? About probably 90% say the word ummah means nation. Actually not quite. It doesn't mean nation. Because a nation has to do with your geographical and territorial area of the country that you live in, as far as your nationality and your race is concerned. But the word ummah actually means community. Community, the word community supersedes nationality, supersedes race, supersedes discrimination and differences. Why am I talking about the word ummah? Because the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, told us, ummah is like one body. If one part of the body is aching, the rest of the body feels it. What's going on right now around the world, my respected brothers and sisters in Islam, as you all probably know. Last week, the community went through a tremendous tragedy. I don't want to go over the details. Most of you know what I'm talking about what happened in New Zealand. As the Muslim community, what we need to do, we need to come together and put our forces together in order to combat Islamophobia. Diffuse Islamophobia locally and globally. How can we do that? How are we able to do that? I'm going to give you a few examples of what each and every one of us is able to do to hopefully be able to fight back against Islamophobia and try to diffuse it. One of the most important things that we need to do to combat Islamophobia is to have civic engagement, political engagement, religious and interfaith engagement, social media activity engagement. One of the most important things is that for those of you who want to live in America for the rest of your life, you have children who are growing up in this country, going to school, going to college, you're running a business. If you consider yourself as an American Muslim who's going to live in this country, then you better wake up and start fighting back against Islamophobia, because it's not going to go away unless we stand up. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that, my respected brothers and sisters in Islam, is that we need to get involved in the political process of this great country of ours, America. Why? The decision whether you want to get involved in the political process or not, that's the decision is up to you. That's your choice, whether you want to be involved or not. But if you do get involved, what's going to happen, you're able to actually influence that political process, help change the political process. You're actually able to make a lot of changes, change players, characters, and hopefully be able to get elect representatives who are able to represent the Muslim community out there in the society. We don't have that many Muslim politicians out there. So extremely crucial that if we want to see changes happen in our communities, we need to be involved in the political arena. We need to have Muslim mayors, Muslim senators, Muslim council members. It's important that we get involved in those areas. Why? Because when you do get involved in the political arena and other areas that I mentioned, you're able to actually portray the correct message of Islam to the people. Tell them who we are as Muslims. Good, loving people. That's who we are. Not what the media has portrayed to the people and created this pessimism, this negativity in the mind of the people. Oh, don't trust the Muslim. Imagine you had a neighbor who came to you, hey, you see that guy there? Don't ever talk to him. Don't ever do anything with him. That guy is a thief. So what happens every day when you go into work, you see that guy, you don't go to him because somebody told you this guy is a thief. He deluded your mind. Don't trust this guy. But then what happens, one day you run into that person. And then you find that that individual that somebody was talking bad about was the nicest person in the world. So then you wonder why this guy misinformed me. Same scenario with the Muslim community. There are those out there who try to misinform the public, giving misinformation to the people out there. But where are we? What are we doing? Really not much. So political engagement is absolutely essential and absolutely necessary for us if we want to live in this country. As a start, it's extremely important that you study the American history. The founding fathers of this great country, Washington, Jefferson, Madison, Monroe. If you go look at their lives, in fact, Thomas Jefferson actually has a Quran which dates back to 1734. 1734. Another fascinating thing you probably didn't know is that the first translation of the Holy Quran was available in the early 1700s. So when the Holy Quran was translated into English in the year 1700, the amazing factor is that once the Quran was translated, it was the bestseller among the Protestants and among the American colonials in this early 1700s. And by 1776, we had a revolution in this country. Are you telling me they weren't inspired by the Holy Quran? Think about that. So anyway, the founding fathers of this great country has given each and every one of you an unalienable right as a citizen. You have a right to property. You have a right to vote. You have a right to start a business. You have a lot of rights that have been granted to you by the great constitution of this great country. So don't underestimate the power that the political power that is embedded in you. So you need to actually get involved and start working on those things. Another thing I wanted to mention, the first Muslim senator in the United States, his name was George Kazan in 1959. First Muslim senator. The second one was James Kaluzu, 1973. And then suddenly the Muslim community vanished from the political arena until Keith Ellison in 2007, the first Muslim congressman that actually was elected in Minnesota. And then miraculously we had two female Muslim representatives that were also elected in 2008. Who are they? Ilhan Omar and Rashida, Sister Rashida. The fascinating thing is, this is actually an amazing thing that we had these female Muslim ladies who have been raised to actually represent the Muslim community. Even though there has been some backlashes against her, but that is okay. It's not a problem. In politics, these things happen all the time. So, having said that, we do need Muslims to be engaged in the civil engagement, civic engagement, political engagement. Also, we need you to access your social media platform. If you have social media, Facebook, Twitter, whatever it is, don't just go in there and put your photos and just float around with your friends and don't even care about anything else. No. You as a Muslim, you need to defend your faith. So for example, whenever I'm on social media, if I see a friend of mine or someone has posted something negative about Islam, I immediately respond back, I'm sorry, what you posted is not Islam. Who told you this is Islam? So I challenge those people and I tell them to remove the content. And if they don't want to remove the content, I report them to the Facebook. And I told them this is a hate speech. This is Islamophobia, etc., etc. So what they do, they take it down. So don't be passive. Don't say, oh, I don't care, it's none of my business. No. Each and every one of us can make an impact in the society. Remember one thing. We are living at an age, at a days and age of decentralized media and communication. In the old days, there was a handful of journalists, a handful of news media that we used to all get our news from. These days, each and every one of you, you have your own news empire, you have your own selfie media, everybody on their own phones. You have the capability to use that power that Allah has given to you for the sake of good, not for the sake of evil. So use these tools that have been given to you. Use them or lose them. So social media platforms are extremely important that you portray your message, the correct message of Islam. At the same time, if you see someone out there is continuously trying to misinform the public, you need to stand up to the plate. You need to stand that this is not right, this is wrong. So that is another way you're able to combat Islamophobia. The other one, as I mentioned, is being involved in the political arena. Because when you elect Muslim mayors, when you elect Muslim council members, they can actually help develop your community. Go, for example, look at the Filipino community in Carson. The Filipinos go to the city hall. Everybody there is Filipino. Everybody's involved. They're running the city. Go to Westminster Garden Grove, the Vietnamese community. They are everywhere. They're in the city hall, the mayor's a Vietnamese, the council member Vietnamese, and then when you go to the city, the entire city is like, I'm in Saigon. It's like I'm in Vietnam. How did that happen? Community, collective effort. They all get together in a common cause to make changes in their community. We as Muslims should do the same thing. We have been granted by the Constitution your freedom. You have a freedom of speech. You have a freedom of religion. You have been granted all these blessings. Why aren't you using them? So it's really important that we get involved in the political arena, be involved in the religious and interfaith arena, because if you go and check in your neighborhood, there are many, many interfaith communities that have developed. So we need to go and get involved in those interfaith communities. Interfaith communities where Jews, Muslims, Christians, Hindus, everybody, they get together and then we all talk about a variety of issues, about our faith, about our religion. And that's where we need to be to represent Islam. We do not want terrorists or other people out there representing who we are. We represent ourselves. So crucial that you get involved and start to battle Islamophobia and root it out in this country by the grace of Allah. We need to create a new tide, a new narrative that's going to create a tide and change this negativity that they have created, which is this pessimism, if you will. It is our duty to turn pessimism into optimism, into activism. That's how you're going to be able to battle Islamophobia in this great country. So, whenever you see someone out there, always have this negative view, whether it's the social platform, whether it's the media, no matter who it is, get active. If you see the media is portraying Islam something false, Call them up. Don't be silent. We need to be visible. We need to be present. If we don't get involved in the political arena, if we don't get involved in the religious and interfaith arenas, unfortunately, because of so much misinformation have been out there, people are deluded. They have this negativity about us, and then look what happened in New Zealand. Unfortunately, due to lack of education, lack of assimilation, lack of getting involved in your community, we as a Muslim community cannot be isolated. We cannot put ourselves to the side and say, it's not my business, I have to worry about. Islamophobia is not going to go away. And don't wait for other foreign governments or this country or whoever else to do something about it. No. We're you. Take action. Allah has given you this cell phone that I told you. The world is in your hand. Use that power for the sake of the good, not for the sake of evil. What this guy did. Uses the social media to show that he's killing people. You're going to show the social media how great Muslims are, what a great and good people we are. So each and every one of you have a duty to stand up for your faith, to stand up for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to stand up for Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Because if you don't do these things, if you don't get involved in the political arena, you're going to have politicians out there who are going to be initiating laws that you're not going to be happy with. Oh, why did this politician or why did city, initiate this new law against the Muslims? Or so on and so forth. So we need to be absolutely involved in all the arenas, because if we don't get involved, we're going to be losing out big time. So finally, my dear respected brothers and sisters, interfaith activism, social media activism, political activism, all of these things should be embedded into your mind, and do your best to face the Islamophobia, and inshallah by the grace of Allah you'll be able to defeat it. Alright? So, by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I'd like to just lastly tell you that if we don't put any effort, the situation is just going to get worse. Look what's going on in China. Over 2 million Muslims are in a concentration camp. They're doing so much zulm to these people you cannot even imagine. China was a country in World War II that 2 million of their people were raped by the Japanese. They were people who were oppressed people. But once they gained their own power, now they're abusing other people. Isn't that something? Usually the people or a group who's always oppressed, as soon as they gain power, they start to oppress other people. Isn't that true? So we as Muslims, we don't do that. We gain a power, we're going to share our love, our compassion, our generosity of the way that the Prophet, peace be upon him, brought about. So with respect to China, Myanmar, Burma, and other areas of the world that we're going through all this trouble, don't wait for foreign governments to do something about it. Get involved. Go on your Facebook page and initiate boycott against China, for example, if you want to stand up against it. And do something. Don't just sit around and be passive. And I don't care, none of my business. No. On the day of judgment, you're going to be responsible for that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us all and grant us all knowledge, understanding, activism, so we can all become good American Muslim citizens in this great country. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وقنا عذاب القبر وقنا عذاب الحشر وقنا عذاب الميزان ربنا إننا سمعنا مناديا ينادي للإيمان أن آمنوا بربكم فآمنا ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم وأقيم الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله اعتدلوا الله أكبر الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. وهذا ذكر مبارك أنزلناه أفأنتم له منكرون ولقد آتينا إبراهيم رشده من قبل وكنا به عالمين إذ قال لأبيه وقومه ما هذه التماثيل التي أنتم لها آكفون قالوا وجدنا آباءنا لها عابدين قال لقد كنتم أنتم وآباؤكم في ضلال مبين قالوا أجئتنا بالحق أم أنت من اللاعبين قال بل ربكم رب السماوات والأرض الذي فطرهن وأنا على ذلكم من الشاهدين الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين